Good morning, everybody. I have Tracy Lee, Self-Love Master Coach, with me this morning. Thanks for joining me, Tracy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here, Walter, and an honor to be speaking to your audience.
Yours as well. So, given in light of the multiple situations we have at hand, what are your thoughts?
Sure. So the first thing I want to say, and Walter knows this, but for those of you watching, this is the third time Walter and I have taped this. The first two times we taped it was last week. And I would say we were both brilliant, right? Both times. And by the second time we had technical difficulties and Walter went, I'll go a third time if you want. I heard, no, wait. And when I looked at my calendar, this was the first opportunity. So we're Tuesday morning, June 2nd, right?
Yeah, 2nd.
Yeah. What I want you all to understand is that when Walter and I taped this the last time, it was before George Floyd. It was before all of the riots. It was before everything that's happened. And I don't believe that that was a mistake. I believe that was interference from the benevolent forces of the universe saying, wait, you guys, wait. Something else is coming that you'll want to talk about. So I seriously have head to toe goosebumps right now as I'm saying that, which as a spiritual teacher and a practical teacher is confirmation for me. So what I have said about COVID and what I will definitely say about what's happening now is it is absolutely a call to greater love. How can we love more? How, as a teacher and a student of A Course in Miracles, I know that every moment, every thought, every breath, every action invites me to choose fear or love. And how many of us are just, myself included, please, I do not want to put myself above this, myself included, are awash with frightening images, awash with fear of being out in public, awash with being afraid of family members, awash with sadness and grief about not being able to see and hug and spend time with our friends, or for me with my 3 boys who are grown and elsewhere. And it is so egregious right now. It is everywhere right now. I don't really care what your beliefs are, and I for sure am not concerned or worried about what your religious beliefs, the color of your skin, your sexual preferences. I don't care about any of that. We are all experiencing for the first time globally the most common thing that a human can experience, which is fear. And on some level, we're all feeling it. And on some level, we're still pointing fingers at each other and saying, you're doing it wrong, instead of finding the commonality and instead of seeing the similarities in our humanness. And so to everyone right now, I say, what is love asking you to do? What is love trying to teach you right now? And love is not some, rainbow sprinkles, unicorn farts, and fairy floss. Love is a hard teacher, and she is a coming for all of us right now. And so in the moments where you want to react, in the moments where you want to condemn, in the moments where you want to bash or blame or scream or fight, I ask you, I beg of you, I pray you take a breath and breathe. Just breathe into your body. And notice that in this moment right now, you are probably safe. And then ask yourself, what is love trying to teach me? What does love want me to know? What does love want me to do or say? And until you can come up with an answer to that question, I encourage you to try to stay in the pause, to stay in the wait, which is so hard when we have this sense of urgency, but it's really, really what we're being called to do right now.
For sure.
Long answer to your question.
It's good. It's good. So with that being said, what, if any, and I'm sure you have, but tips, suggestions, ideas to weather all of this?
Sure. So again, and Walter knows this, in early March, before everything got really crazy, at least for me and here, I wrote a blog post called The 8-Step Self-Loving Antidote to Your Oh Shit Moments. It's a mouthful. I barely get it out right every time. And it was really just practical tips for my students and my clients about how often we feel like we are truly in danger and we're not. It was preceded by a "you're not in danger, you're just uncomfortable" post. And I'll share those two links with you, Walter, so that you can share them with your audience, because the truth of the matter is what happens in our body when we are stressed, when we are frightened, is what we all know to be the fight, flight, freeze effect. But what you may not know is what that actually does in your body. The cortisol and the adrenaline and all of these hormones and chemicals that shoot into our body to keep us safe. It's survival mode, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But 99% of the time when we have this whoosh, rush of stress response, we're not actually in danger. We're just really uncomfortable, or we're bothered. And I don't want to diminish or minimize being uncomfortable or bothered. It's important to notice that. But the problem is we can't really address it until we are in a more oxygenated state. And so the number one tool that's available to every single one of us, ironically, not to George Floyd, the one thing he asked for, the one thing we all do have right now, is breath. And so I ask you to go to your breath, and the way I teach people to breathe is 6 seconds in through your nose and 12 seconds out through your mouth, 3 times in a row at a minimum. If you are truly stressed, that 12 seconds will feel agonizingly slow. Do your best to get to 12. And trust me when I say, look at your phone and get a timer, because what you think is 6 seconds is probably not. And what you think is 12 seconds is probably not. And what that does is you are oxygenating your brain. When we're in stress mode, when we're in fight, flight, or freeze, we get really small and we shallow breathe. And what's required of all of us right now is to have all of our faculties about us to the best of our ability. So to oxygenates our brain, and it also massages the vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve you have in your body. And when we calm and massage that vagus nerve, we send a message to our body that all is well. And so I ask you, Walter and I are about the same age. In my 53 years, I would say to you, maybe, and if I'm being generous, the times in my life where I legit thought I was in danger, and it was legit. We're talking about, like, I'm stopped at a stoplight and I see the car behind me is not stopping and I'm frightened. Maybe a dozen times in my very privileged, beautiful life that I've legit been afraid, where the fight, flight, freeze response was warranted. And how many thousands of times have I felt that, though? And what it does to our kidneys and the rest of our system that has to filter out all of that, to know how to bring your body back to stasis, back to calm, back to, as a Houstonian, the eye of the hurricane, where it's calm in the eye of the hurricane. And then you can assess what really is my next move, what really is the loving choice for me in the moment. So that breath, God love George Floyd, like, he had it right. Like, that's the one thing we all have, is breath, that he didn't have. And so long as we have breath, there is action we can take on our own behalf.
So what do you see future-wise?
Yeah. As the beautiful Eckhart Tolle teaches, the moment of power is always now. And I, as a teacher, really work to stay in the present moment. And this moment is a beautiful moment for me. This moment, I'm in my beautiful house, being interviewed by my beautiful friend. I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm loved. I have a beautiful cup of coffee. You know, if we can all find more of that in our lives to the extent that we have the ability to, what I hope happens, and, you know, in the beginning of the time of COVID anyway, I found myself and others saying, when all of this is over, then we will, whatever. And I said it in a way, sort of like when we return to normal. And I don't think that's going to happen anymore. we will definitely come down from the escalation of things that we're experiencing right now. But I do believe we'll be forever changed. And I hope we'll be forever changed, Walter, because for me, that's the point of this sort of collective experience, is for us to see our sameness more than we see our differences. And as a mother, as a teacher of love, you know, my heart breaks for these mothers who are concerned for their babies just because of the color of their skin. And I hope that every mother can begin to know that feeling in their body so that they can teach their children, and so that we can just do better. We've got to be kinder to each other. We have to understand that our differences aren't really threatening to us. If you do things differently to me, and I did a Facebook Live yesterday, a recording yesterday that's on my YouTube channel, and I talked about how I'm not quite sure how it is that I got to be this being that loves you even with your differences, and not in spite of them, but I just that is who I am in the world. And how can we all be that? How can we be more Christ-like? How can we be more loving and more just that's what we're being called to right now. And it sounds like an oversimplification. It sounds like all the cliches, all you need is love, and love is the answer, and all of that. And yet, you know, cliches exist because there's some truth to them, for sure, right?
Exactly.
And so if all of us could just, and what I said to my audience yesterday, if you can just, how can you amp up the love this day? How can you love more today than you did yesterday? I'm even going to love more today than I did yesterday. When somebody's face comes into your mind, you know, can you act on it? Can you call them? Can you text them? Can you just say, I love you and I'm thinking about you? How can you just radiate more love into the world than ever before? And it's my hope that that's what we do. It's my hope that we come out of this forever changed and forever different, and where, yes, we definitely speak our truth with a capital T, and we call out injustice, and we do it in a way where we want to enlighten one another, illuminate one another, and where we have some curiosity, like, help me understand why you believe what you believe. And I'm really sincerely curious. I want to be enlightened about where did that come from. And for all of us, I beg you, examine your own beliefs. Where did they come from? So many beliefs that we are running our current operating system on are old, outdated beliefs that when we take some of them out and we look at them, we're like, wow, I don't even believe that. And it comes from family of origin, and it comes from ancestry, and it comes from religion, and it comes from Hollywood. And I'm not trying to make any of that bad or wrong. I'm saying an unexamined life is not a life worth living, right? And so can you begin to look at your beliefs? And what I teach is, when I discover a belief that no longer serves me, I say that this belief no longer serves me, and I replace it with a more loving belief. And so if you find yourself, if you notice that you're in judgment or condemnation in a hateful way, take a moment and notice yourself. Don't be critical or judgmental of self, but just be curious and notice and see. Is that a loving choice? Is that a loving belief? Is it a loving thought? And if not, that's okay. Me too. Like 100% of us have this experience. So I'm not judging or wagging any fingers at you. I'm doing the same process every day. This belief no longer serves me. A more loving belief is. And for the love of all things holy, please share that experience with the people that you know. Let go of the shame and the stigma of, oh, wow, maybe I did have some racist tendencies in me that I wasn't even aware of, and I feel horrible about that. All of us are biologically predisposed to be wary of things that are different than us. And we can evolve beyond that. And I think that that's what's happening right now. We're being asked to evolve beyond that. And the only other thing I want to say that feels really important right now is so many people are looking for leadership, and they're looking outside of themselves for the authorities to tell them what is safe, what is right, what is good, what is true. And what I want you to remember is that the leaders and the authorities of our country, of our cities, of our states, those people are just human beings like me and you. And none of them had this experience before either. None of us have wisdom about this. Wisdom is knowledge plus experience. This is new for all of us. So let's give everybody a lot of grace and know that the only authority for you is you. You're the only one who can say, this is the loving choice for me and this is not. And it's okay if the people around you are making different choices. They're making the loving choice for them. Even if on Tuesday, the loving choice that they make is different than the loving choice they'd make on Wednesday. We're all growing here. I hope, I pray we're all growing here. And let's give each other and ourselves a whole lot of grace and recognize that I'm the only authority figure for me, and that my partner and I, my family and I, will together come with our, here's what I hear, here's the whisper, here's what feels right and true for me today, and we'll discuss it in our small trusted little pods that we used to call tribes, and then we'll try it out a little bit further with our friends, and we'll share it with the people who have influence on us, but in a gentle and loving way, knowing that we will all have different answers and that that is okay.
Very, very good. Very, very good. Any other things you would like to add?
You know, I'll just say this to anyone who is struggling with this, and this is not intended to be a commercial for me. My only commercial in the world is I am who I am. I show up every day to be me as raw and real and authentically as I can. If you're struggling with this, if you want more, if there's something about listening to the conversation Walter and I are having, I want you to reach out to either one of us and say, I want to have that conversation more. I have two offerings. I work one-on-one with a very small elite number of people, only 10 people, because of the nature of the way that I work with them. They have access to me 24/7. But I also have another offering that is the Self-Love Masterclass that meets twice a week, that is $225. And if you want to be submerged in a loving classroom that teaches the principles of love, beginning with self-love, because love thy neighbor as thyself requires us to love self first. If that's something you're interested in, please know that that's available to you. If you just want to have a conversation with me, I'm available to have a conversation with you. There's no cost for any first conversation I have with anyone. Join the self-love movement with Tracey Lee. Do what you need to do to be in the study of love. If that's not me, if that's not Walter, find someone, find a teacher, find a shaman, find a Yoda in your life that will help you explore this. And if it is me, know that my heart and my arms and my classroom are open to you to come and begin or continue your exploration of self-love.
Thank you so much, Tracey. And as I always say, and I'm not going to change it now, at the end of these, I always say love, kindness, and stay safe.
Beautiful. Thank you, Walter, and big love from my heart to everyone listening and watching.
Right back at you, Tracey. Thanks again.
Thank you.